Hey everybody, welcome to the HIT.OR.DIE podcast with your hosts Jake Saldati and Chad Rothford. A special guest, one of the top high school coaches in the state of California.
Special.
If not the nation. Maybe the most underrated coach in the nation.
Just honored with the ABCA Region 8. Do we got to say medium school?
Whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, it says Division 2 on the actual press release. So
The ABCA Region 8 Coach of the Year, Medium School Coach of the Year, Jason Papi.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
Fresno High Warrior Head Honcho.
Buildings.
Buildings.
The buildings.
The Golden State.
Are you gonna? I don't want you to get in trouble for laughing at
The
that.
Fresno High Golden State Warriors.
Buildings.
I will honestly say I'm not a big fan of the new logo.
But you did get all new uniforms and you
Yes,
got a whole new got to
we
get
did.
rid of
the Warrior logo and
you
everything.
had to take advantage of that.
We did, yes. Our whole athletic department got new uniforms. As an assistant athletic director, it was kind of weird because, I mean, there must have been six figures amount spent on uniforms, so it was crazy.
And one school.
One school, I don't know how much they were. I really don't. I mean, I might be overshooting by a lot, but it wasn't cheap. I could tell you that, to get every program on campus new uniforms.
You your phone had been blowing up all day, the last 2 days. I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was really cool. So when I got called from Rigo Ledesma, who is in San Diego, I don't know exactly what he does, but he's on ABCA committee, board, whatever. He called me and first let me know, and it wasn't supposed to get out to anybody. I don't like to talk about that stuff, and I want to say Anthony Pedroso told our vice principal.
Anthony Rose kind of like your burner account. He just does all the stuff you don't want him to.
And I think he told our vice principal in charge of athletics. And so once they threw it out there, it was pretty cool. I was amazed. I mean, on Facebook to get 1,000+ likes and a bunch of people commenting, it was really cool because, as you guys know, being coaches, a lot of the times it's a thankless job.
Yeah, well, and it also is to the typical powerhouse type school or the well known, or you know what I mean, like
Right.
you don't get as much credit as you deserve. We try to.
I appreciate that. You guys do, and I appreciate that more than you know. So thank you.
But that's a great honor, man. Congratulations, and thanks for coming to do this, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So I don't know, my wife, if we could move anywhere right now, she would up and leave everything here to move to Nashville. We went for her 40th birthday in January, and she absolutely loved it. It just so happens that the coaches convention where they present the awards this year is, I think, January 5th to the 8th in Nashville, Tennessee. So when she heard that was an excuse for her to tell me that we're going back to Nashville. So I said, well, I thought I was just going.
Well, you should pay for HIT.OR.DIE to follow you and film
100%.
the experience. And
100%.
Yes, you should pay for that.
100%.
no, man, that's a great honor. I know Coach Solberg was also
Solberg
honored
got it a
with
couple
something
years ago.
similar. Yeah.
Yes, assistant coach, huh?
Yeah,
It's really
and
cool.
I think also wasn't oh my gosh, Brandon Simon also, or was that a different
Assistant coach.
association?
No, I think he was.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. So, no, I'm really happy, really honored, humbled by it. Makes me, feel good. I mean, I think the most humbling thing was, because my dad, we don't, you guys know how proud of him and what he's done I am. But he was that dad that he's always been hands off with me as a player. I grew up, he never coached me, not one time on any team. No Little League, no Babe Ruth. There was obviously
Just
no
a city
travel
county.
ball.
Just a city county.
One
All-Star
time on City County, 1996, and
Which back then was it wasn't easy to just make city
game. No,
county.
it was a roster of like
Right.
12 to 15 guys.
right. And it was so cool to have him coach me. And so when I got a call from my dad, because my sister, I think my sister told him, and he called me, and that was pretty cool because we don't, he just told me he was proud of me, and so that was a neat deal. But yeah, no, the city county thing, I remember, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an all-star game that isn't as well. My dad is pretty competitive all the time, and I remember like it was yesterday. I made an error, and I got back to the dugout, and my dad ripped my ass. I'm like, geez, Dad, it's an all-star game. But he did. He got on me for the error. I was playing at the time at Hoover. We didn't have a first baseman, and so in high school, all 5 foot. I say 10.
With cleats.
With
Round-
cleats,
yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
there you go.
Correct, on cement. I had to play first, and then I went to city and state and was an outfielder, but ball got in the lights, I think, I don't know, and I made an error, and he let me have it when I got back to the dugout. So I remember I was pissed.
I'm not surprised.
My next at bat, I went up. I was actually coming up that inning, and I smoked the ball up the middle for a single when he was coaching first. And so when I got to first base, I looked at him. He said, "Good hit." That was it.
Should be on 2 right now.
Right.
Something.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
didn't
my
come
dad
out-
used to be.
You didn't come out of the box.
Yeah,
hard, so
it was a bad turn or whatever.
Oh yeah, and that's what I love about him. Honestly, like my dad doesn't. He doesn't sugarcoat it. Like he's and so to hear him, say, "Hey, I'm proud of you," and I know he is, but we don't talk about that stuff. And so it was pretty cool. That meant a lot.
Well, and so now you're going to go back to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
They'll honor you this coming 2023. Yeah.
January 5th to the 8th, I think.
And that typically at the ABCA, the head coach of the national championship winning team opens
Correct.
the conference.
Correct.
Did you watch any of the College World Series this last week or so?
I did. I was able to catch some games, not as many as I would like, because we're playing summer games, and obviously because of the heat, usually it's like 5:30 start.
Yeah.
But I was able to see in Idaho. I didn't catch Friday's game. I was able to watch Saturday's game. But wow, it was impressive. That Ole Miss deal kind of reminded me of the Fresno State thing in 2008. Weren't they like the last seed getting in?
They were one of the last teams in. We actually, Chad. I'll leave it to Chad.
No, I pretty much said they shouldn't have got it in, but
Right. Well, it was.
then Coach Bianco called me and he wasn't happy. But I had to say
That was their motivation.
They went on a run, so
Right.
Get
Well,
or
I
die,
think
you're welcome. Ole Miss.
They only lost, I think, one game throughout the entire
Who knows?
run to the national championship, and
yeah,
that was
just the one in the
Roth might
World
get
Series.
Do you think he gets a ring?
I'm gonna put in for it.
I mean, they.
if they put one on Amazon on them, I buy it. So
Well, I was pretty impressed to see their coach go to the mound. I don't know if you guys saw.
I loved it.
It was.
and
awesome.
blow up
ahead,
the
Brett.
third baseman.
Yep. I mean, good for him. Like that's coaching, and the players looked him in the eye, and they responded, and that's love. Like that's not, and a lot of times in today's day and age, we're in this day and age of everybody being coddled, and it was just good to see, that
On the
He's-
biggest stage ever.
biggest stage ever, and he's coaching them out of love and trying to motivate those guys, and they responded at that moment, and that was pretty cool to see.
Well, and it warranted an ass chewing. Like there were some back-to-back plays in there that
Correct.
kids weren't focused up or and I don't know if we talked about maybe one should have been moved by the coaches.
I think the infield coach should have moved him up in that
The
situation.
third baseman and he had a couple plays in that inning that
Right.
But do you think it's kind of, I don't want to say sad, but like people were highlighting that as if it were something rare that
Well, it is rare now.
you know what I mean? Like
And
to me, I was like,
that
that's
is sad to me. 100%.
like that's just the way you do it. That's how it should be. Not
Correct.
That shouldn't be something. We're praising it, which is good. I'm glad because I thought it was fantastic, and I thought the players' response, and you just saw a head nod, like yes, coach, yes,
and
sir.
eye contact.
Yeah.
and these
Not
kids
poor
understand
me,
and-
put my head
No,
down.
and pout and feel sorry for yourself, and go back and tell mom and dad that the coach yelled at me. Like that is, I'll tell you, for me as a man now, some of my fondest memories was getting my ass chewed by a coach. And I still tell the story. Like, first of all, I grew up with obviously a dad that was a coach that I would get home, and if I told him I was 1 for 4, but I hit 2 other balls hard, he would be like, "You're hard, or were they hit hard?" And he never coddled me, never sugarcoated anything. And one of my fondest memories was in an inter squad game at Fresno State with Coach Purse, who I respect greatly. I was on second base in an inter squad game with 2 outs, and a hitter hit a ball, extra base hit, but I slowed down coming around third base with 2 outs and kind of just jogged in, and it ended up being a bang-bang play at second base. And if I wouldn't have, obviously, as you guys know, if I wouldn't have scored before that out at second base is made, the run doesn't count.
Right.
And Coach Purse, it ended up the guy was safe at second. And in inter squads, a lot of the times we had umpires. He was safe, but, I just kind of let up around third, knowing that I thought that I was going to score. And I just remember Coach Purse flying out of the dugout in the inter squad, telling my teammates don't shake his hand, because it was, I don't know if it was our, we used to do like a hamburger series, yelling, don't shake his hand, and getting on me pretty good, because obviously that could win or lose a ball game. And it's all about, attention to detail and energy and effort and playing the game 100% all the time, not some of the time. And, things like that I still remember. I could have went home and felt sorry for myself because the coach yelled at me at a Division I level. But when you think back now, that made me not only a better player, but a better coach. And, I try to coach that way to this day. And I think that my players understand that I'm going to be demanding on them. But I'm also, I tell them all the time, I'm going to kick you in the ass, but I'm also going to slap you on the ass and tell you how good you are.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
It goes both ways. And I love my guys, and they know that, and it's a two-way street. And, but some of my fondest memories are things like that. And, you don't want, usually, home runs, big hits, winning games, things like that. And I have a lot of memories like that. But just coaches demanding the most out of me are some of my biggest memories as a player.
Yeah, I think it just has to go with respecting the game.
Correct.
And I think that's what all the old school baseball players and then the new school and like the argument is. It's always like, let the kids play, or no, this is how it should be done. But it's like, to me, I believe in the baseball gods, and I believe in karma. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you disrespect the game of baseball, it's going to haunt you. It's going to come back to bite you. And I think that's what the main argument is like Labby says, if it's warranted for a pimp job in a walk-off or that moment, if it's warranted, it's warranted. But if you're just pimping you're down by 5 and you hit a home run and you're pimping it like that's you shouldn't be doing that. It's not baseball. Or, like you said, just thinking you're going to score, or pimping a ball that you hit and it hits off the wall and you get a single. Just play the game the right way.
Well, you saw that video. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up, but to do that, to have that feeling, right? You've had it with Woody. Like, you know what it takes to go through a whole season and to finally be able to celebrate that last one with a win. Man, and just for him, for being there so long, for people wanting his head just a matter of weeks ago to be, you're done, you're out of here, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I was so happy to see him win, just for him and his program and his team, because I don't know about you, but I love watching some of the stuff that they post before games, his pregame speeches, his pregame talks, because a lot of it's not so much about baseball, but what baseball can lead to as situations throughout life. Right. I mean, did Coach Bennett, does that take you there at all?
100%. He was really big on understanding the similarities and the correlations between the game of baseball and life in general, and the ups and downs and the animosity or the adversity, that you're going to face throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a season. And, I think that's why, as a player for me, our practices, there was never a time that I can remember when I was there where our practices weren't at game speed. Everything mattered. If there was a pitcher on the mound in an inter squad and, he wasn't 1-3 or under to the dish, man, he was off the mound.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if you threw one pitch.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Give me
to
the
hear
next
about
guy.
It. Yeah.
So everything, I'm talking an inter squad game with nobody in the stands in the fall. And, that's just how he was. And so, it was so impressive just to see Ole Miss, because I think they approach the game that way. I really do. The things that I've seen and how they prepare and play the game, like Chad said earlier, I think the baseball guys reward teams like that. You saw kind of Tennessee and how good they were, and all of a sudden, they're not in it anymore. And so, pretty impressive. But yeah, no, Coach Bennett was definitely one of those guys, and everything was related to life. And we talked a lot. I mean, down in that little locker room, hours upon hours of meetings every year. I mean, during our triple days, our whole third practice every single night was 2 hours of meetings. And it didn't matter what you were talking about. You were dialed in, you were locked in, and you were learning. Whether it was me standing on a table in my underwear my junior year for 2 hours as he went through the importance of wearing a uniform and went piece by piece and told you what every piece of the uniform was for. He was just so detail-oriented. And so I think I learned a lot just about, how you approach the day-to-day operations of trying to be a player or trying to be a coach, and making your guys better. And a lot of the times you can't sugarcoat it, because the statement that I use with my coaching staff all the time, and they laugh at it, but I think they understand it, is I say, hey, man, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. And if you're allowing it to happen, we're not getting better. So you can be their friend today. You can look the other way, or you could coach them up and say, hey, look, man, if we want to get where we want to go, and if we want to be the team that we want to be, I can't let this go, or we got to coach you up on it. So,
you're talking about high school and the coaching, and I don't know if you've seen the video going out and about was it travel ball?
There's a guy out of Texas, I think. He's a travel ball coach talking about
or just does his own thing.
I don't know.
His own facility, talking about
bad coaches
at the lower levels
of high school sports.
Varsity's kind of different, but
he said even at high school there's a lot of bad coaches that shouldn't be coaching.
And really, it really triggered a lot of people. And I'll play it for you here in a second.
Because he was pretty much talking about how he has his kids that go to his facility mad because they're not playing, because it's the wrestling coach is the JV coach, or the basketball coach is the freshman coach, and they don't know anything about baseball. And so it hit a lot of chords with everybody. And I got mad too at first, when he was talking about it. But then he made a part 2, and it started making more sense, because travel ball is the same way. There's a lot of travel ball coaches that don't know anything about baseball that are trying to make a buck.
Correct.
And there is a lot of times in high school where you don't have baseball players that can coach at the lower level, and that's just how it is. But that's not taking away the stuff that you coach at the varsity level, and everything's going down.
Well, and I guess, for us, a lot of the times your lower level coaches, when you look around the section, are people that came through the program, maybe younger coaches, younger guys that just graduated a few years ago.
They're still kids.
They're still kids, but they're really receptive, and they're going to coach what you tell them to coach, and your system and what you do. I think that is what is most important about lower level coaches. And let's be 100% honest. Let's look around the valley right now. Tell me how many programs in this valley actually have freshman programs. You take the 5 Clovis schools. I don't even know if Central had one this year. They might have.
We just brought ours back, or Madera just had theirs back this year. Didn't have one for 2 years.
Not many teams have freshman programs, and we have had one the last couple of years. We have not, but you're talking about 2 programs now. And Chad, you said it best. I hate that correlation when people are trying to correlate, or compare high school and travel ball and competitiveness, because let's be honest, you can go out and watch travel ball where Johnny's dad is the coach, and Johnny's dad never made the high school varsity team. So does that make him, because he's coaching his kid, or, that doesn't make him, God's gift to coaching? And so I think it could be both ways. So I have not heard it. I haven't seen it.
I'll play it for you guys here.
Yo, unless you're ready for varsity level play, high school baseball is an absolute waste of everyone's time. I said it. Let's talk about it. All right, and if you're one of those people who are the high school baseball is for character building and life skills and all of that, just please scroll. I'm making content for kids who want to play college baseball, okay? For how much these parents pay to advance their kid and develop their kid, and how much these kids care about being a good player and moving on to the next level. For their freshman and sophomore year, they typically get coaches that don't know anything about baseball. It's their secondary sport. Hell, I don't even know if they like baseball. Very rarely get field time. They get thrown in the batting cage, by themselves, while the varsity gets the field the entire time. And it's like, if that's going to be how it is, why don't these freshmen and sophomores go play for coaches who actually know baseball and actually care and want to help them develop, and actually are going to teach them things that they need to know? Full disclosure, I live in one of the meccas of high school baseball. You got Northern and Southern California, you got Georgia, you got Florida, you got Texas, like Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. Like, it's big time baseball here. High school kids getting drafted all the time. It's the real deal. And I don't know who agrees, but I have a big problem with my 14, 15-year-old kids who really care about playing baseball. Their parents invest a lot of money and time to develop them, and then they go for, an entire semester and they play for a wrestling coach or a football coach and they don't learn anything and they don't get better. And quite honestly, it's a travesty. And I think it's trash. And I think it absolutely has to change. Do a whole series, probably 5 parts, on how bad high school baseball is in reality and even at the varsity level. And you know what? To end this video, I'm going to say, before you guys get all butthurt about, getting on teachers and coaches, look, I don't care. All right? I really don't care. I care about the kids that I coach getting better. And when they go for an entire year of getting trash coaching, it annoys me. It annoys me to my roots. And if I can't talk about bad coaches, then what is a good coach? You can't say anything about people going to hurt people's feelings. Man, get out of here.
Go ahead. What's your response?
Well, I know. I saw it.
I know I played the whole thing and we didn't stop it. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest. There's things. There's things that are truth in that.
But there's also he's also got people paying him money.
Yeah,
nobody's paying the high school coaches to coach their kid.
Well, so I wanted to ask, what high school are you coaching at? If you care so much, what are or are you doing privately?
Yeah, and who I don't know who is.
I don't know who it is.
I don't know. I think he's out of Texas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at that. I have a couple things. First of all, I 100% disagree in terms of high school. Some of the best coaching that I see. You look around this valley. Let's just take this valley. The number of high school coaches that have been coached by people that are very well respected up and down states, nation, whatever. Look at how many Coach Bennett disciples are in coaching right now. Let's just use him for an example. I think that the way I see baseball played in this area, it's really good. You could talk lower level all you want. You can
But what I'm saying is,
compare that to the travel ball, lower level travel. What is high level? What is lower level? What are we talking about? Are we talking about the Granite Park tournament that has 4 teams in the division? Or are we talking about perfect game events throughout the country? What are we talking about? And then my question would be, well, how about 20 years ago when there was no travel ball? Those high school coaches were coaching. Kids were getting scholarships. Kids were getting drafted.
Well, and you also had everybody playing freshman, JV, and varsity.
Correct.
You never saw a freshman on varsity back in the day. And if you were a sophomore,
I've said it on here. We had to walk around the outfield fence when I was in high school.
Oh no, you didn't.
There was a
You
gate
didn't talk to
through
the varsity players. You didn't.
There was a gate through the outfield to walk to the locker room. If you were caught through that gate, you were getting your ass kicked, or you were running, or something was happening. You would get punished. You weren't allowed. You pay your dues. Part of that also is, listen, if he's not wrong. I've seen bad lower level coaches.
100%.
It's very challenging to find quality coaches at every level every year. It's just hard. It really is. There's no money in it, right? It's a thankless job, as you said.
Correct.
But you're learning the program, right? If I'm leaving at 14 because these coaches aren't good, I'll be back for my varsity. You've just shown the varsity coaches you're not a bought-in type of player. Mm-hmm. You're in it for you. Right? This is a system, this is a team, and this is the group that you're going to grow up and play with at varsity.
Correct.
Right? It's not just about you. And I'll be real honest, if you're at 14 or 15 and you're that good, you're on varsity.
Correct. Nowadays, with how many schools
You're not
there are.
playing
Correct.
travel. And I don't know if that's still a thing where you can do both in the same during the school year now. Is it still a fact? You can't.
It's changing now. It's gone back.
Going backwards, so you can't play.
You cannot. No.
So I don't know how, if you're going to take the spring off. That doesn't make any sense. Right. I get what he's saying about the coaching. That's not false. But also in travel, what are you playing for? And I told this to Chad, or maybe I told it to you. You're playing for a USSSA ring
that everybody gets
every weekend, 5 games,
right?
Or are you going to battle from the summer to the fall into spring and try to win a title for your school?
Right.
What, that doesn't matter.
And it's really tough for me because all 3 of us at this table, there was no travel ball when I was growing up. You didn't play that.
It was in its infancy, man.
I played for George Omachi on the Omachi scout team. He was a scout for the Astros, and he put together. That was our travel ball.
It was all invite. It was all pretty much invite only type stuff.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Obviously, is there great travel ball? Sure, there is. There's some organizations out there that have really good players.
If you have the right money.
Correct. Well, and just really good players. I mean, guys on big travel organization teams, they're going and getting the best guys, and where.
So how hard is it to coach those guys?
As a high school coach at Fresno High, you want to talk about developmental, we're getting kids sometimes that don't have gloves and things like that. They're first time baseball players. So I think that's true development. I've told guys in conversation, I said, hey man, you want to show me you can coach? Go as a travel ball coach, go get 15 of the worst guys and make them really, really good. And now you tell me you're a really good coach. We can all win when we have 15 of the best guys.
Yes.
Wouldn't you guys agree?
I mean, I've been on staffs with some really good in 12 at West, 15 at Madera. They were just really good. Right. It wasn't a challenge to coach them. It was
they almost coached.
Yes,
they coached it for us because they bought into the program. They knew the process, and we just let them go on the field and do their thing.
And they wanted to win.
Yeah, and so I hate that comparison. I mean, out there, I had mixed emotions when I read it because some of the stuff he says is correct, But the fact of the matter is it should be kind of going hand in hand. And I have buddies whose kids are travel ball players, and my thing with them, especially at a younger age, I said, if you don't have 3 or 4 or 5 practices at every game that you play at the end of the summer, that wasn't developmental. Reps are reps, but I think at that age there should be more practices than games. Just having 1 or 2 practices a week where you go into a facility and just hit for 45 minutes or an hour, and I use comparisons of, do the kids know long alignments, short alignments, bunt defenses, rundowns? Can they do the little things? Do they know where double play depth is? Things like that in the game of baseball, those are the important things, I think that is, if we're developing players, let's develop them as a whole, and I think there's travel organizations that do a great job of that. I'm not anti-travel ball. I want my kids to go out and play if they can. But, my other reaction to that is, okay, that's awesome, but what if a kid can't afford it? Who is he talking about? If you're in the inner city with kids that can't afford to play travel ball, so what do? They don't play lower level baseball.
Is he going to take them in for free?
Right. What do? Where should they play? Where should they develop? Where should they get their reps? But, I'm big on if you had 70 games in the summer as a 12-year-old, and you guys practiced 20 times, I don't know how it works, but I'm big on your practices are where you're going to develop players,
Well, you can't just stop in the middle of the game and break it down. And if you've played 3 games already in one day, it's at that point, even the coaches are like, God, I'm ready for this day to be over.
Right.
I mean, I've coached travel ball. I've been there. I've played 6 games in a weekend.
Right.
And I think I said on the last one, basically what you just said. Like, if you're playing more games than you are practicing, you're not necessarily getting better.
Right. And I truly think that, this game would be in a better place if there wasn't this divider now between travel baseball. And I don't even know where, let's think about that for a second. What do you mean travel baseball? Where's that word? Why did that come? Travel.
I know most of the team, they don't like that, right? You got a couple messages.
So what, I don't even know what it's, is it, what do they call it? Club baseball, whatever.
Something.
Like, I think that if there could be some sort of a way to, because I'm not against it. I want my guys to go play if they have, the monetary means to do that, because a lot of these organizations are not free, especially the good ones. So I don't know, it's really sad to see that, because I don't think we need to throw daggers either way.
You'd be good. You'd be really good.
Well, then, and that brings up the other thing. You brought up the portal today, like with the going and doing your thing. Like, you've seen some kids recently, like first it was what did you post there? The transfer portal's always been
so Joe Oliveira posted.
That was Joe. That's who it was.
There's always been a portal. It was just never called a portal. Like if Papi went to Fresno State and he decided he wanted to go somewhere else, you just had to get the waiver signed by Bennett to go to the next school. That's always been there. Anybody can always transfer or get out as long as the coach signs it off. Because some coaches will say you can't go here or you can't go there, but now they can because the portal will allow anybody to go anywhere. Yeah. But that was the only issue back in the day, was the coaches could tell you where you couldn't go, and it was always normally a rival school or something like that. So the technically transferring has always been there, has always been around forever. I think with the portal now, it being called the portal and knowing everything going on in the portal, plus social media, the way it blows it up,
it's just much more highlighted.
Making it more of an issue rather than people just going in and going to different schools. And it's almost, I think social media is making it even more of like, to some of those guys that might be the second string catcher or first baseman, like, oh, I want to just see. I want to see what I can get. Can I go in the portal? You know, and I feel like, you know, it's hurting, like Pat Ware said, it's making the mid-major schools almost be like a 1AA school, because now they're bringing in a guy, developing them to be a good baseball player. But now that kid's like, I'm going to go in the portal because now I can go to a Power 5.
He has a really good season.
Yeah, now I can go to a Power 5. Arkansas just signed a Fordham. Fordham is the college. They're a Division I school. They're pretty good, a mid-major. Just signed their shortstop. But you're really good already at Fordham. Why are you going to Arkansas? You just had a really good season. Why are you leaving the school that just helped you develop and get there? Like, that's the problem I have. You know, like the shortstop from Vanderbilt was their starter almost all year. Tim Corbin is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach at the Division I level. Why are you leaving? Because you had over 100 at bats, batted 200 or lower. He sat you the last half of the last quarter of the season, so you're not happy about it. Now you're going to go in the portal. Like, I get there's reasons, and there's good reasons and bad reasons, but I think social media is making it look more negative to maybe some of us old school guys, even though it did happen.
Well, the NIL, how about?
Well, that's another one.
Man,
the kid from NC State, right, who left.
Yeah, Tommy Tanks. I heard he's from Florida, so I heard that he wanted to be closer to home. North Carolina is not that far from Florida. It's not like you're in California. You know, I went to Oklahoma. I was a lot farther from home than that fool was at North Carolina State. Freshman All-American, the freshman of the year, almost led the nation in homers, goes in the portal. He was like one of the first guys to go in the portal. Why? You just got developed and became the sensation for North Carolina State. Are you mad you didn't get into the tournament? Well, go prove everybody wrong and go get your team in the tournament next year. Like, you're just a freshman. Why? And then he chooses LSU. LSU's not any closer to Florida.
Well, I know Florida State
with the
fired
coaching
their
change.
coach.
I know, but still, he could have gone to Florida. He could have gone to USF. He could have gone to UCF.
And I didn't look very close, but I saw something on Twitter, like something about the NILs with Marucci. If a kid goes to LSU,
yeah,
you know, so you could have players legitimately. And I know this
Oklahoma's
is gonna happen.
Marucci as well.
Yeah, and I know this is going to happen in football. But you're going to have players making more than the coaches, and that's what happens.
I'm sure it's happening in some areas.
It probably is.
Well, that kid going to Tennessee is going to make $8 million. He's not even there yet. The quarterback.
That's just insane. That's just crazy. Well, so but see, like there are circumstances that we don't know.
Yes.
Right. We brought up the one I saw, that Arkansas catcher.
Yeah.
Who was a backup catcher, is a sophomore. They
just brought in Turner, which was a portal guy last year that played every single game for Arkansas. Helped them go to the College World Series. Not sure if he has another year. Plus, they have guys that they probably signed coming in at their recruiting class. He's going into the portal. I can be okay with that almost.
Well, we don't know if they had an exit meeting. Like, was there something mutual between the coaching staff and the player? Like, hey, you know, maybe this didn't work out as we thought too. Maybe everybody's in agreement on that. Maybe everybody wins in this circumstance. You know, so
I have a problem.
There
with
probably are those instances.
You're a dude. Like, I'm a dude starting at, Fresno High.
Well, the Vanderbilt one makes sense.
And then I want to transfer to, another school because now they like me. They didn't like me when I was in junior high or whatever. It's like high school. They didn't like
I posted
that thing with Steph Curry.
Today, yeah.
He's like, they didn't like me before, so F them. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to stay at Davidson, like Steph Curry said.
Or is it Dayton, right?
No, Davidson.
It was Duke that was back on him or something like that.
I don't know. But it's like that's the thing. Like, oh, you do good, so now they want you. Like, I just feel like go honor the scholarship, and unless you have an absolute falling out with a coach, because it happens. I mean, you get smoke blown up your butt getting recruited to get you there, and then all of a sudden you get there and it's not what you want.
Right.
I know that.
Smoke? No, they don't.
Well,
yeah.
They don't dangle any carrots.
They don't
tell you what you want to hear.
Have you not seen some of those recruiting trips those football players are doing in D1s? They got like candy shops in their hotel rooms, and they like
I haven't seen
clothes. And I mean, dude, football players worse.
Well, I guess, the flip side, devil's advocate would be where there's, people would come back and say, well, colleges are over recruiting kids, offering them a scholarship, bringing in 40 guys when they know they can't keep 40. And I'm using the number 40. And that's one of the things that I respected so much about Coach Bennett is he would always say, when I coached there, I got to obviously take kids on recruiting trips and sit in on the trips, breakfast or whatever, dinner. And he would always tell the parent and kid, like, hey, man, this scholarship is good for 4 years. The only way you lose this scholarship is if you mess up academically or you do something stupid in the community to embarrass.
Get you kicked off the team.
Fresno State. Exactly. And so he goes, if we made a mistake recruiting, that's on us as coaches. Like if you aren't the player that we thought
It's not a
you
year-to-year contract,
no,
in other words.
He would honor that scholarship for 4 years. And, people would say, well, that's why, you're not. Well, we won every year. He did that, and we won every single year. We were very competitive.
Is this a COVID? Do you think COVID's part of this? Because I don't know how tough it's going to be on JUCOs.
Well, I know how tough it is now trying to get my guys out of JUCO. I mean, every Division I coach I talk to and some D2 coaches, they're going from a 50-man roster back to a 35. They got to get down to 35. So they're getting rid of 15 to 20 players.
So it's almost like these transfer guys are taking a big risk as well.
They're taking a big risk, but they're also taking away from, I think, junior college players, because you got 2-year guys that are legit and good that are trying to go Division I that might have to settle for a D2 or even then an NAI or something. And it's just like,
I'm trying to figure out just what is this the product of?
I don't know.
Well,
what is it a product of? Like, we need it now. I got to be the guy now. I got to have it now. I don't know. Like,
well, I mean, everybody likes
because if there's 3,000 kids in the portal and these roster sizes are going to get smaller, all these dudes taking a risk leaving for the portal, that's a risk.
Yeah.
And then all these JUCO, it's already hard. Right, and then for guys that are leaving, like, for whatever reason, the one for Vanderbilt you brought up just kind of stuck in my brain. Like, I don't know why, right? And there could be a valid reason, but, you stated he played for most of the year, struggled a little bit, lost his job. That's just part of the game. Like, it's not easy. Right. Baseball's not easy at any level you get to. Just because you leave doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get any easier.
Grass isn't always greener.
No, like it's gonna demand work from you.
Well, then on the flip side, let me ask a question. If you guys were Division I college coaches, do you now start basically just recruiting out of the portal?
Yeah.
Because
I'm getting paid to win.
Right.
Yes, that is true.
I'm
you
paid
have to win.
I gotta win.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so if I'm that guy, I go, man, I better get in here and just.
Well, am I going to go sign a high school kid who I'm unsure of, or I'm going to go find one of the better kids that's in the portal
who's done it already?
It's been through a season. That's been through the practice. Yeah,
look and say, hey, here's what he's done at this level, at this college, and where that high school kid, man, you're taking a risk. I mean, and to me, that's what made it fun. When you talk about developing kids and going out and maybe seeing something in a kid that those Power Fives or those big time schools didn't see, and you get this guy, and all of a sudden he becomes a diamond in the rough. I mean, let's look at Aaron Judge. Was Aaron Judge an absolute guy recruited by everybody in the country? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But for Fresno State to get that guy and watch him blossom at Fresno State to the player that obviously he is now, that's pretty cool. And with the portal now, I think that you're going to see more and more guys.
Would he have stayed at Fresno State?
Right. Who knows?
With the NIL deals too. Mm-hmm. A projected first rounder. I mean, I don't see why that matters at that point.
Well, if that's two Fresno State girls basketball players, right? They just
went to Miami.
But I think the difference, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch the WNBA, so I can't speak on what professional basketball is for the female side. But if this all existed, let's say an Aaron Judge or Luke Blows, these guys, Taylor Ward, who's a first round guy, and NIL was a thing,
would they have stayed?
I mean, I'd like to think so. I mean, I'm a first round pick projected already here. Like, that's not going to change no matter where I go. I still have to maintain, be that guy, put in the work, and produce, whether it's here or anywhere else, to keep that. So if money's thrown at it, who knows? I don't know. I couldn't speak for that. I don't think so. I'd like to think that's
what
not
made
it.
so cool to see guys like Judge coming out of Fresno State. That's awesome, and you can look at Fresno State in football and basketball, and you can name a lot of guys compared to other schools that have become unbelievable pros, and that's a great question. If the portal was around in those sports today and they were playing now, would they leave? Would they have stayed? And you would like to think yes, you would. Because I think there's something to be said about loyalty and staying in one place.
I agree. And I think
in a lot of different ways. In the coaching profession, in transferring at whatever, high school, college.
Right. And I guess, again, you're not wrong. I agree with you guys. And we all know where we stand on the transferring thing.
Right. And sometimes it's not a good fit. Maybe it wasn't a good fit and the guy needs to leave, and so be it, I just, I think this portal, as a college coach, if I was a college coach, I'm going to be sticking my hands in that portal a lot to try, because you got to win now. And there's college coaches that don't even get to see through full recruiting classes, 4 years of their freshmen. They're fired before that because those kids that they recruited, high school kids, they weren't ready, and they maybe needed a year or two to develop. Well, you don't have that development there. It's win now or lose your job. And so
that's not to say that there isn't circumstances where colleges don't over recruit. We've seen that happen too. I think
that happens a lot.
Yeah, there's not shitty things happening just from players training. Like, the coaches some of these schools have done some pretty shitty things as well, and put these kids in some predicaments. And also,
that's where I was playing devil's advocate and said that earlier because that now you promise this guy the world, he gets there and he looks around and there's 30 other freshmen. It's like, whoa, I know how many we can keep on the roster, and you just brought in X number, and then at the end of the fall, if you had a bad fall, they're calling you in and saying, hey, I think you need to go to this JC to develop. We'll keep an eye on you, but it's not going to work. Or your scholarship's good for the rest of this year. The best of luck to you. Best of luck to you next year.
That's crazy. How do you go across the country and then think maybe next year?
It happens. And that's one thing, like I said, that I respected the heck out of Coach Bennett, because I heard it out of his mouth, and they were always, if they gave you a scholarship, that was a 4-year deal, man. And unless you messed up academically or embarrassed the program, you were keeping it. You might not have been the player they thought you were when they recruited you. You were there. So.
I mean, you've seen the draft lose rounds, right? It's half of what it was. Like, it's harder to get there now. I don't know. And I don't know where it goes from here. I can imagine it's only going to continue to grow.
I don't know. Do you think they really?
I don't know if it.
Do you think it's? That's what I'm saying. Is it an isolated like COVID?
I don't know if it's harder.
You don't think so? With half the rounds to get a major league draft, to get drafted,
I don't know.
You don't think it's more challenging to get drafted now than it was?
It's more challenging to get drafted, but you still have guys signing free agent deals. I mean, there's guys that didn't even get drafted last year that got free agent deals. They got way more money than I did when I got drafted. So why would I not rather be in this year draft when there's only 20 rounds and I can maybe get money from like the 22nd round instead of being drafted in the 42nd or something? So I feel like there's the same amount of players are still going to play professional baseball. There's only 20 rounds. So they can divvy out the money how they want. They're going to pay those guys more money, or they can save money for free agent guys that they know they could pick up later on. So I don't feel like it's easier to get there. I feel like
harder.
I don't feel like it's harder to get there. I feel like it's actually easier to get there because I don't think there's as many guys in the minor league system anymore.
Well, there's not as many teams. They slashed minor league system.
So that's what I'm saying. And there's some instances where, I've seen, because I've been there, that there's really good players that don't move on to the next level because there's so many okay players, or something. Like, I don't know. It's just when it's a business, it's such a business, but I feel like there's so much fewer players now that it's easier to get there. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. But I just feel like when you have 160 guys in, Arizona at 2 A-ball, rookie ball leagues, and then you have rosters from low A.
You're saying that they cut teams, but they didn't necessarily cut how many guys are.
I don't know. They
playing.
might have.
I don't know.
They might have. So now maybe they're getting
a lot of
rid
fat got trimmed a couple years ago.
So maybe they
COVID.
are. So maybe that, my opportunity would have been better nowadays than if I was there with,
Well, they're a lot more careful
with
with how they draft. They're a lot more careful in how they spend their dollars. It's, You know, this strike this year, I was like, there's no way these guys. Maybe they could have, but they don't want to go through another 2020.
Yeah.
They don't want to not play. There's way too many dollars at stake. You know, in the college game that you allow the NIL and, you know, we talked about like the offense and the bats and the balls and, you know, they're selling a product like that. It's turning into the college, getting down to the college game as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so with the portal being what it is, yeah, I think D1s especially, yeah, they're going to be competing for that.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, I've heard it right now in the last couple of weeks, trying to still get some guys out. They got to wait on the portal. They got to wait to see who they can get out of the portal, and then they want to know what I have, right? So I sent them what I have. They don't necessarily have needs now at this late in the game. They just want to know what I have, so they can maybe fill out the roster later on if they can fit a guy in. But they have to wait at the portal because I talked to Coach Walton today. Hey, how's the portal looking? Oh, looking good. Need anybody? We're always looking. So I sent him all my guys, like, you know, and he's like, who are the best guys? So I was like, these guys are the best guys, like, that I know could, you know, go in. So it's just, and it sucks for, you know, the JUCO level right now. But then with the draft and follow coming back, maybe the JUCO level is going to get helped out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
It's a crazy time.
Does it ever revert back in any way?
No.
So you think it gets worse? Or
No. History repeats itself. I'm banking on that statement.
You think so?
I hope so.
Do you think
so.
you
At
think
some point
eventually
they're gonna
the draft will expand and or is this
I'm just talking about the style, the way baseball is played. Mainly this, like, the way baseball is played and the respect for the game,
philosophy, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Man, I hope I hope you're right.
Looking, you know, I hate to do like wild card stuff, division predictions. Just I don't hate it. It's still too early for that stuff. But like first half MVPs, I was looking at National League. Like it's pretty much a no-brainer for me. Is Paul Goldschmidt's gone insane. And Chad, I was gonna give you his numbers earlier. He's hitting 347. Nice. It's pretty good. 347, 19 bombs, 64 ribs, 40 walks to 60 Ks, 429 OBP, 642 slugging, and 1.071 OPS. Having a monster season. There's really not many guys.
And he's always been really good. But I said this to you in the car. I wonder if since Pujols has been there, he's dabbling in. Because, I mean, Trout was really good, but Pujols got there right at the beginning of Trout's career.
Well, and Goldie didn't have a great start in St. Louis when he got there.
No.
This has been a freaking insane season.
I just wonder.
He's gonna be pushing for he's gonna have over 200 hits this year.
Yeah. But I mean, does having that guy in your locker room, that leadership, that been there, done it, been through it, same position even for those two, like I wonder how. I mean, I would be. I'd be in the cage with Pujols every day.
He's a vet, you know. Like Goldschmidt's a veteran, you know. It's even to have that to take on. Yeah, I'd love that.
Oh, who knows?
I mean, I know Trout did. Trout said he was one of his biggest mentors and was with him every single day. And Pujols, loved him like a son, pretty much.
Just to be a sponge and listen to that guy every day in the clubhouse, regardless if he's a vet or not. I mean, I think that'd be.
I think the only other guy near him right now.
That's what kills me too about this game. I know I'm going off topic.
Go,
but like, I'm not saying that I'm the greatest player to ever play, but I've been at a certain level. And when kids don't even listen to somebody that's been at a certain level, and I'm not saying I've been at the highest level or I'm the end all be all and right about everything I say, but in order to get better, you need to listen to the people that have been at the levels you want to get to, because a lot of that information is what
it's not created by you.
I didn't create it. I got it from every coach, every player, every person that I've, gotten stuff from. I mean, talking about a product of Bennett, I didn't play for Bennett, but my dad did, and I'm a product of Bennett because of what my dad taught me. The Rupsich way of hitting, how to catch like Bob Bennett. Like I am a product of that, even though I didn't go there. And like, what I learned at Oral Roberts, Fresno City from Coach Scott and all the coaches there. But like, it's just crazy how some of the kids don't listen to, like, they don't care. Like, I remember when I was at City and those pro guys were out there. Oh, I was with them all the time. Asahina, picking his brain. I know he was a pitcher, but like, hey, how would you pitch me? Or like, I just feel like you talking about a sponge. You guys are saying like I feel like these kids they think they know it all already. Like there's no other information that they need to know, which is totally wrong. Like I don't know. I still want to know stuff.
Listen, you might be able to get to where you want to get with that, but you're not going to fucking stay there.
No.
You won't stay there.
I didn't even get there. You didn't get there. You didn't get there. You know what I mean? Only 1% gets there.
No,
and probably less than 1% stays there.
And back when I was playing, when you say that, like I was willing to listen to anybody and everybody as a player. Having a dad as a coach at home, and his friends were coaches, and so they'd be at my house. But now I feel that a lot of the times people look at it as if you're paying for it, it must be gospel. But if you're not paying for it, do they really know? And that's the thing. Like I was going to listen to anybody and everybody.
Can I get it?
No, and that's honest.
No, I totally agree with that.
And that's not talking bad about anybody. I'm just saying like
that's like a perception.
Listen to everybody, because whether that guy played in the big leagues he might have something and say it a certain way that you go, wow, man, that I get it.
Well, and maybe sometimes it is delivery. Maybe it is the delivery that sucks, and the kids don't want to. Who knows?
Right, but just
I'll tell you a quick story, dude.
Go ahead.
My first ABCA convention I went to was in San Diego. And I've said it before, just talking to some people. I may have even told you this. James Patrick was there and was in the front row. He was there early. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, that's tight. Coach, he's a legend, right? Around here. Mm-hmm. For those that may not know. And I don't know what time it was. I was getting up to walk. I was like, man, I'm going to go. It was towards the end of the day. He was still there in the front. And I stopped and I was like, why is he still sitting there in the front row after 5-6 hours? Mm-hmm. Notes, all of it. I fucking went and sat back down because he was still, I'm like, there's a reason he's still here. Like, you're obviously not getting something out of this. I don't know.
I'll never, your Kobe Bryant moment.
I'll never forget that, bro.
I talk about Kobe being in there and he won't leave until
But James I've never told anybody that. I've never even, because I never thought it was a big deal until maybe now I felt like, you know what? I only went back to my seat because James was still sitting in the front row waiting for the next speaker.
100%.
After 8 hours.
Yep.
And I think CP, I was walking out with him and I saw James still sitting there between speakers and I went back and sat down. Like, I'm going to finish the day. Yep. I don't know, man. The guys before you,
you're always learning.
It came from, you're always like, there's always somebody wanting to learn. And if I obviously don't have it figured out, but when I saw James, like, man, there's something like he knows something I don't, or he's,
and you.
This is where he's gonna fucking beat me.
You just said it right there. Nobody has it all figured out, and it sounds stupid, but we have in our program we say better every day. You're either getting better, or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. So try to get better every day. And a guy like James sitting there in the front row, he's trying to get better. They might have won 6 Valley titles already. I don't know how many.
It was in 2008,
and he's trying to get better. Why? Because everybody else is improving. And so that goes back to my statement of anybody. If you just shut people out and don't want the JV coach, maybe that JV coach that is a former player that might have went to a different JC, and his JC coach taught him something that stuck with him, and he passes it on to you as a freshman on the JV team. Wow, you just learned something. And I've had last year for my daughter's dance nationals, we went to Arizona, and I sat in a hotel room. It just so happened that Sean Halton was there with his team through his academy, and I went up to Sean's room and we sat and talked for hours about baseball, about life, about kids, because obviously he's a big believer in our program, and he asks about kids, and there's players of mine that their dads played in the program for us, and just learning. I'm 44 years old, had coached. You think I can't learn a lot from Sean Halton? And on the flip side, he was hopefully learning something from me.
Because you've been coaching,
we're talking the game, and
you offer something. That's the thing, right?
And that's what's best about ABCA. And for me, getting that award, it means something because I'm that guy.
Yeah.
When I go to the ABCA convention, I see a lot of guys that go there and just party the whole weekend, hang out with coaches and drink beer and
vacation.
party. It's a vacation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm going to listen to every single speaker. I'm going to be there because that last speaker of the day might be the biggest one. Sitting at the bar or having dinner in a restaurant with 3,000 other coaches, guys that you've never met, and all of a sudden you start talking shop, and they say something. You start talking about the most random thing in the game, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm going to implement that. I just got better.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost me any money. It was just somebody that you took the time to, like you said, listen to them. Don't shun them. Don't think, well, who is he? You know, I've heard it this way, because you can learn from anybody.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you brought that up, because that 100%.
That's what I do at City. When
100%.
when we're coaching against somebody else, I'm watching how their hitters, how their approaches are, because that's my job. I'm the hitting coach. So I want to know how their approaches are and what they're doing, or how they're running to first base, or how they're doing their stuff. Because I told you this, when we played Lassen, I was blown away.
Yep.
We lost the Lassen, and I wasn't even surprised with how they played the game and how disciplined they were. And I mean, in college baseball, the rankings don't matter as much as in like high school and stuff. But like, I wasn't surprised, just the way they played the game. The gap's way smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, but just like what he said, I saw the way Lassen was, and I'm like, if I'm ever a head coach, I'm going to do that right there.
Well, it just happened for me, and I've been at Fresno High 20 years now. It just happened for me 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. We played De La Salle in that Buchanan Elite Tournament, and if you looked at the ABCA regional coaches, David Jeans, the head coach, was the coach of the year for Division I Region 8. And we played them. They beat us 8-6 or whatever the score was. But I learned something that day, like just watching their team and how they approached base running. And then it made me feel really good, because we shook hands. We talked briefly before the game. I had met him, I think, once before, but he got in the car because it was, I think, the last day they were heading back to Concord, and he got in the car and he tweeted something out about playing us and
I saw that.
how we approach the game, and hope we can do this again. And that made me feel good. There's a guy that's been pretty damn successful, I think, as a high school baseball coach. So he made me feel good. On the flip side, watching and learning and playing him that day made me a better coach.
Well, you were thinking what he was thinking about his team.
100%. It just,
You shouldn't tell each other.
And I honestly, like, there were some things because they played the game. They were a high school baseball team, and I could see it in the summer, that puts pressure on you. And they're the aggressor, and they're going to make things happen, and they're going to make you make mistakes. And I like that, because I think when you do that and you play the game that way, sometimes you can be less talented and be successful because of it, And so I agree 100%. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that was a great way to
be a sponge and learn from everybody.
Well, you know what, that at high school and at your freshman and sophomore, like, you don't know what that coach could actually offer. I know the comment was they're trash, right? He said they're trash baseball guys. They don't know the game, and I'm trying to get guys to college. And, it ends for everybody. At some point in time, it's going to end. You're not going to play the game, maybe on your own or not on your own, whatever. But that guy could still offer you something, whether it be a life lesson, maybe something that, you identify it with him somehow, some way you connect, with your academics. Something's going on at school. Something's going on at home. You guys both know we're not just baseball coaches.
No.
Mental toughness.
Sometimes, listen, I there's been moments in the 20 years that I did it that I felt like a dad sometimes.
100%.
That they needed you more than you needed them out there on the field. And sometimes we kept guys just because of that.
Correct.
They may not have never played an inning, but you knew that they needed this. And winning, losing, none of that mattered.
And I'll be honest, I don't care what level it is, freshman, JV, varsity, developmental baseball, travel ball, whatever you call it, scout teams, whatever. We're all trying to get our players to play at the next level if that's what they want to do.
Sure.
But, I mean, in all honesty, when I got into this profession, man, I'm trying to make these guys better after high school. And I tell them that all the time. I'm trying to make them better men. I'm trying to prepare them for life because, like you said, it ends for everybody. And sure, we all want to go on and play. That was my goal. That was your goal. That was your goal. That was all of our goals, to go on and try to play the game as long as we can. But I think the most important thing that you learn on any team that you play on, whether it's a travel team, hopefully should be, life lessons.
Well, yeah, and I think if you're in high
outside
school and that the only thing you're looking to get out of it is to play at the next level, you're missing the boat, man.
Correct.
You're missing the big fucking picture.
Yep.
If the only thing you're trying to get to is the next level, oh man, you're not. It's gonna fly by, and you're gonna be, where the hell did what just happened? It's gonna be over. No, that was great. I'm glad you went there.